Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
We're back after the holidays, have some Tier 19 Arbor sets to show, and man, have we got a whole bunch of news to share. Okay, one of those is a lie. Coming up on Monk Meditation, episode 63.
Here's your host, Chai T.
Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Chai T from Airy Peak, US, a Mistweaver and Windwalker for the Rolling Thunder team and Convert to Raid. Air is one of my guildies, but unfortunately he can't be here today as he's prepping to return to the US from London. He should make his triumphant return next show. But with me tonight from Midwinter, our Mistweaver expert, Monkio. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Just like everyone else, waiting for Alpha and Beta to make its return. And then on Friday, we get the new Diablo season, so I will say goodbye to life for at least a few days to a week.
All right. And we have the salty resident brewmaster, LeBlue. How you doing, sir?
I am doing great, and unlike where it says WTF Guild Are You In, LeBlue, which would be a pretty cool guild name, I'm still an Anti-Meridium for now. Been doing great, and much to Monkio's sadness, I've been quantifying my salt, but more on that.
All right, well, we look forward to discussing what little news there is tonight, but let's check in with tonight's host on how WoW is now in
Storm, Earth,
and fire!
All right, well, how is WoW for you, Monkio?
Okay. I didn't want to turn into LeBlue, but no, it's mostly fine. I mean, I only have to raid one day a week now, so that's pretty good.
It's nice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I do that the whole time.
Finally made a time walking gear set for the dungeons
because you really need
so,
that.
Yeah, but it was nice. I noticed a little difference, and it was fun to do something. That was for my DPS set. I don't know, healing set. I just go in with what I got, but I have nothing to do in the game except to collect money from the Garrison, go from the Garrison, and do the one night of raid thing. And then I'm just trying to find other things to do. Yeah, pretty simple, casual life.
Yeah, doing the one night a week thing is very nice, but there are other days where it's like, yeah, log into Garrison. All right, I'm done. Now what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
After your lap around Draenor,
Right.
on your flying mount now.
Oh, I'm so excited to have flying back. The game was just not the same without it.
Right? Hovering 5 feet above the grounding of the Garrison is way better than being on the ground in your Garrison.
It's sad that I still mount up to fly from like my Garrison door out to the lumber mill. It's like 10 feet. I'm like, but I go faster.
It's okay, you're not alone. No, what's best is you have the the stables like LeBlue does, and I don't even get dismounted for collecting my stuff.
Right. You just go and keep on the mount the whole time. Yeah, someone told me that I should switch out my barracks for that, and I may just do that.
No, I switched out I never had the dwarf thing, the thing that gives you a free token.
Really? I guess now with the Apexis crystals, you don't need it anymore. But
no, the Apexis crystal completely neutered that, which is kind of silly. But.
Yeah, I may just switch that out. Well, how's WoW going for you, LeBlue?
All right. We're still raiding. We got Zul Mythic a couple weeks ago, and we just got Tyrant Velhari this morning, and then we did 4 YOLO pulls of Manaroth, which, believe it or not, ended horribly for us.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't one-shot him?
No.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Funny.
What's wrong with you guys?
I don't know. We just clearly just all need to delete our games. What's going on?
Yeah. The whole game.
Go back to normal, scrub.
LFR or bust, bro. I'm actually looking to take a break from WoW here. Not really WoW, but raiding in a few weeks. I'm kind of burnt out of it, and I kind of want to refocus what extra time I have to working on getting some good feedback for Legion, so hopefully enjoy other aspects of it a little bit more versus me kind of being bitter and salty. I know that sounds weird that I would ever be bitter and salty.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
And I've like I said, I've been quantifying my salts. Here, look at them. Look at them. Handmade spreadsheets. Oh my gosh, there goes my pen. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Dropping your pen is like dropping your mouse. Don't do it, man.
Oh, I know. It's terrible.
All right. Well, for me, after getting down Archimons and reaching our goal of ahead of the curve, Rolling Thunder, we all decided to roll alts. So I boosted an Enhancement Shaman, which is a class I have not played since Wrath. So I kind of wanted to go range, but I'm just like, I enjoy melee more, so we'll just do Enhancement. I tried Elemental, and I'm terrible at that. Enhancement, it's like I got in, and I was already like pulling 30, 40k with like crap gear and LFR, so I was like, all right, I think I can do this. So already on my 3rd tome, so getting the legendary stuff is actually getting pretty quick. I'm only on my 2nd week of the tome stuff, so those who are rolling alts, if you actually dedicate yourselves, you can do it.
How long does it take to do tomes? I don't remember.
With the tomes, I should
4
have.
weeks.
This will be the 3rd week.
Weeks.
It will just be 3 weeks, and then it'll be on to the.
And it's 100% RNG though. Like we're talking
Yeah.
like Mists of Pandaria RNG.
Oh, maybe I'm
with
talking
those
about
drops.
the wrong thing.
The tomes are from Hellfire.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Like 24
The
of those.
Blackrock
or something.
Foundry is what I'm talking about because you have the
Oh,
3
that's not
different
The tablets.
tablets. Sorry, yeah, I'm
If
on
you
my
really
3rd
are
tablet.
dedicated to that, it's like a month to do like those 2 steps. That's actually not that awful anymore.
Yeah, the Hellfire shouldn't be too bad. And let's see, we did our first Moose Run carry as well last week, so we'll be doing more of those. Our alt team, after we do the Moose Run, we do the alt team runs, and we're already 10 of 13 normal so far, so we're already catching up pretty
Nice.
quick. So should be
That
back
must be a
in
lot of
rows.
fun, be able to like re-progressing on a different character.
Right? Yeah, it is. It's actually it's fresh. It got me in. Man, I'm talking so good tonight. Talk so good.
Where'd you learn to speak good?
I speak so good. Actually, going in and playing an alt is definitely revitalizing because raiding is what I like to do. Getting prepped for raid takes my time, and that's what I enjoy doing. So it's like running the mythic dungeons when it's not just a raffle stomp.
It's purpose back to running around your garrison collecting stuff again,
Right,
doesn't
actually
it?
going and going out and getting the lumber for the lumber mill. And I've already got a level 3 shipyard, so that seemed to be much faster this time around, which was
Have
nice.
you gotten the heirloom rings from your shipyard?
I've gotten a
yet?
couple of those, but not on this character. But yeah, I've gotten
What
a
you
couple.
need to do is do like me and have 10 alts running shipyards.
Yeah.
Now 2 is fine. 2 is fine. Yeah. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun with Enhancement Shaman. It's not a monk, but it's as close to the monk as you can get without being a monk. That's why I ran the Enhancement Shaman. So, as you're in there punching stuff the whole time, which is nice. All right, well, it's time to get caught up in the crazy whirlwind of WoW news in...
Dizzying haze.
Oh my gosh, guys, there's so much news. All right, we're going to start off with the Crystallized Fel. That is now
Alright.
available for 1,250 Valor. So you can buy that to upgrade the rings. What do you guys think about that?
One sec, I'm trying to count on my fingers how much valor I get a week. I think I get 3 valor a week. Is that? Can you get
too
3?
too many fingers actually?
Oh well, yeah. I don't.
It was
I
kind
don't-
of sad. I got an upgrade for my off spec on the Archimon or on the Manaroth kill we did in Heroic, and it's like now I have to go run crap to upgrade my weapon. Dang it.
Okay.
Listen,
so,
I'm.
like, good.
I'm the bad influence that's like, yeah, I'm not really going to go out of my way to run upgrades. I'm still not fully upgrade, and I'm a terrible person, and you should shame me. But yeah, I still haven't gotten all my upgrades yet, and I'll do the dungeon if I see the little baggie. I'll do the I'll do the time walking dungeons, the mythic dungeon, and the Apexis one weeklies. I won't touch the PvP or pet battler ones, but those don't give valor anyway. So.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, and I'll do Archimond on LFR because I can effectively solo him, and that's kind of cool.
It's a good thing that they added. I'm glad they added it. I wish it never had a reason to be added in the first place, but it's good that they added it because there's so many people who have these off specs that they play often, but they need to upgrade their main spec. You know, some people play their off spec maybe half the time they play their main spec, and it's just impossible to level both at the same time. At least for this way, you can do both at the same time. And if you just want to have something else to do, you know, with you fully upgraded your gear within a couple weeks if you really ran it hardcore. So if you just wanted to, you know, still do mythic dungeons for whatever reason, maybe you like them, maybe you want to help friends through it, but you didn't have anything to spend Valor on. This is a great way to just dump those
if you're
resources.
doing a heroic like me, mythic is still a good thing because you can possibly still get upgrades out of that.
Oh yeah, dungeons. Yeah, sure.
Listen, running heroic dungeons and chain pulling the entire instance and like having all the mobs stacked on you while you kill the boss is pretty satisfying. Doing that in a mythic dungeon is even more satisfying because I actually press guard once or twice. It's fantastic.
Man, yeah, running the mythic dungeons is crazy. The difference you'll get. Sometimes you run in and it's like your tank goes in and just instantly dies, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna CC this time. And sometimes they run in and they're blue, and oh, all right, we're playing the whole this room too.
Overgeared. We have the way too much gear for them. But hey, man,
I wonder what's harder for groups: time walkings or mythics. They're difficult for two different reasons.
I think time walking depends a lot more on the player, whereas mythics, I'd say, much more gear oriented. Because of how the item levels are regulated.
And it also depends on which one it is. The Cataclysm one's still difficult.
I love the Cataclysm. Those are they're easy, though. They're so easy.
Actually, no, the one I had the hardest time in...
BC are the worst.
BCs just take a long time. They're not hard, but they take a long time.
Because, the mobs still stun you and CC you and stuff.
Right.
And as a tank, it's horrible. Absolutely obnoxious.
Oh, my favorite was the Cataclysm one, the wind one. Where you end and you have to jump, or the healer has to dispel, and it's like, it's a 15-second thing, and I can only dispel one of you. And
I think every time I've done that boss, I was the last one standing. Yeah. Every time without fail. Because I still remember, I'm like, oh yeah, jump.
They're like, healers dispel, jeez. I'm like, hello, once per...
Mr. Just I need you the best dispel, please.
Right, because all these dungeons were made, most of them at least, were made at a time where dispel did not have a cooldown.
Right,
so
you just dispelled
it's hard to just counter some of these mechanics. Like we did, I just did, what was it, on Kahet? Is that the name of the dungeon?
Mm-hmm.
The spider
one.
One.
Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, and like everyone in the group had this awful like poison debuff on them, and it's like if you can't dispel poisons, or you know yours has a 6-second cooldown on it, it's an awful pull for you.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't kill it quickly and shit and stuff. But like, it's it can be rough on some healers. I think it's really dependent on your healers. DPS and time walking is not very difficult. The tanks don't really hit their buttons anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
The roughest one I had was the Wrath one, Zool. There's one of the Zool ones, the one that has like the Rhino and...
Oh, yeah, Gundrak.
Gundrak, yeah.
Yes.
That one was the roughest one when I was doing my Paladin tank. He wasn't very well geared, but it's all scales anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the DPS just couldn't down that first snake boss. And so,
the snakes pile up.
Because, you get stunned.
What you need to do is you need to get your legendary ring. You need to fully upgrade it, and you need to reap the benefits of that 1 or 2% versatility buff, man. That's some pretty legit stuff.
All right, so we're done with the crystallized fell, so let's go on to the other news that we got. All right, now it's time to keep your spirits up while the world changes around you in...
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Uplift. Don't worry, I'm sure it happens to other monks too.
All right, so not much in the way of actual news. So this is all old news, but we missed our show 2 weeks ago. So this came out about a month ago, right before the alpha servers went down. But we did get a look at some Tier 19 armor sets. So let's take a look at those now. If I can find it. There it is. All right, so here we are looking at the Mythic armor sets. Have you guys seen these?
Yeah, it's something.
I would say they're not the style I like. But that said, I didn't even care for the Throne of Thunder set, and I know a lot of people really like that for Monk.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
the shoulders are the kind of the only things I'm not really too keen about. I like the rope stuff. I like the rope, but
Oh,
Yeah, the rope stuff
breaking
is
news
pretty
from
nice.
Hina.
spikes.
Breaking news: Pandaria Raider and Dragon Soul metas got adjusted today.
What does that mean?
I don't know what the adjustments are. They changed them, so they're probably
Probably
easier to do
solo.
with smaller
Yeah.
You
groups.
can probably
Right.
solo. All right.
Yeah, I
so,
tried to do a Mercius today. It was awful. Oh my gosh.
All right. So now we're taking a look at the Elite PvP purple version of this.
Huh.
Do you guys think it's pretty lazy that they're using the same sets for PvP now? I don't like that.
I'm
No,
I'm
no.
not going to use the word lazy because I don't know how much time goes into it. I will
Right.
say I am a little bit sad that they're now just reusing the models
Wait.
from them.
Wait. This isn't a new thing.
I know it's not
Like,
new,
this-
but it's
This has
What do you
literally
mean?
happened since the beginning of arenas.
Mop had
Hey.
different sets.
That
Pad
was
had different sets.
those were the oddballs. Like this is where it started as a PvP gear, which is a copy of the PvE gear, but a different color. And
I
that's
think that
Not in
happened in
vanilla, it
TBC.
wasn't.
No, that was
Vanilla
TBC
didn't have
that happened.
arenas.
It didn't happen in Wrath,
Yeah.
Kata, or Mop.
But you had PvP season gear, which was very separated out, looked very different. So
Yeah.
I wish they would keep doing that because having the PvP with all the spikes and everything like that means we don't have spikes on our head, and
I
I,
like the
appreciate
unique
that.
sets because if for no other reason you had another like set, like if you didn't like PvP that much, but you wanted that transmog set, it gave you a reason to do it. Because in the end, rewards are what drive players to play the game.
All right.
In something like this.
So let's take a look at the. Oh, now it messed up. Great.
Oh,
No.
Bad figures.
deleting the links.
Quit deleting the links, Chai.
I'm not
No, see,
deleting
I like
links.
this a lot better. Once you get it up there.
Oh, less spikes. The
Oh my god, this
normal?
is doing weird stuff.
Come on, bud.
This is doing really weird stuff.
Don't worry, folks. We're professionals.
Yes, we are.
I don't claim to be such a thing.
Yeah.
We're supposed just to have a united front. Are you trying to look at the not normal heroic and PvP ones?
I'm trying to
Which
look at
is-
the normal ones, but it's tech thing.
Yeah, I mean, basically to take the spikes off the hood.
Yeah.
That's like the most noticeable
Which I'm
difference.
going
I
to
think it
like
looks a lot better. Just that little change makes it look a lot better. And I like the blue.
Yeah, I like the blue and I like the hood without spikes. I think the spikes are a little overdone.
There we
I
go.
agree.
There we go. Got it. Got it.
Which-
Stop looking.
I wonder if the mythic one will have like an animation with it though, kind of like how the mythic stuff in
Yeah, maybe.
does. I don't know. That's not something that really appears in still photos.
And
Believe it or
spikes are
not.
usually like a warrior thing. It's just when your warrior gets like he normally starts out in a normal set of plate armor, and then the next setup has more spikes, and the next setup has more spikes.
It definitely doesn't look like leather. That's
Porcupine.
actually something. It
No,
looks
it
a lot like a
doesn't.
plate set. That's
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, so we got a blue set, a yellow set,
terrible.
a red set, which wasn't the mythic one red? Oh, it was
This
just
is like
red.
purple-ish almost.
Yeah, purple.
red
Purple's
with
the
orange
mythic.
rope and stuff, yeah. And then looks like a druid set with green shoulders.
Yeah, the green. I like the blue the best, but the green isn't too bad.
Yeah. I think the
wear that
I think the
blue.
blue
I like
looks
the
pretty
blue
good.
best.
Yellow definitely look. Oh, are these okay? These are set after our Celestials again.
Oh,
Oh,
that
are
would
they?
be-
Yeah, you've got
Uh,
blue for Joanne, yellow
Joanne, green
for
for-
Brewmaster, for Nizao,
Nice.
red for the Crane, and green for the
I didn't
Serpent.
catch that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Good call. Good catch.
Thank you.
I am not that perceptive right now. Good catch, sir.
Yeah, the
You got a
green one
cookie.
looks okay, but it looks too much druidish.
Maybe.
So funny, he doesn't look druish. All right. Oh, Spaceballs reference. All right.
I wonder why they use two separate models for the people inside the suits.
All right, so let's talk about spell changes that happen in the alpha. Now, I don't know why we're ever going to bother, because as soon as alpha comes back up, it's going to be completely different probably, but
We can hope.
we can hope. So Serenity
excited.
got a change that got buffed to 40% increased damage, which is solidifying itself as a burst phase talent. So on a fight something similar to Gorefiend, Serenity would be where you'd want to go. You lose a stack of Tiger Eye Brew, but the stack you get is more damage and more concentrated, and all your cheat gets refunded. So well, actually, all your cheat spenders are free now. So super good on a Gorefiend type encounter. Strike of the Skylord, which was pretty stupid in the original alpha. It was just like, I go punch, and it did like no damage. It was great. Now it actually has a frontal line AoE and does a decent amount of damage, so we'll see if they keep that. I'm hoping they change the animation on that. Let's see, a fuse went up to a 1.5 second cast, but increased its healing by 50%.
I think it's 50.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 50. Because it just didn't make sense to upgrade the cast time, or I guess make it cast slower and not do more healing. So.
Right. So now it's a little bit more oomph, but a little bit longer.
Yeah, it makes it easier. It makes it more sensible to spam. Because if you had any haste at all, your 1 second fuse felt really, really bad to spam. It was so weird and awkward to use. And at 1.5 seconds, it matches your GCD. And it just per cast, it just heals more, and it feels better to spam it. So.
Right. Let's see, and then they nerfed Focus Thunder, brought that down to 2 spells instead of 3.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the talent when you took that.
Yeah, the talent got nerfed. Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
But then they buffed Thunder Focus T, taking it from 45 second cooldown to a 30 second cooldown.
Right.
So, and Thunder Focus T is probably one of the more interesting spells for the Mistweaver right now.
Yeah, and something good about this is that with them lowering the cooldown of Thunder Focus T, and even with the nerf to Focus Thunder, over like a minute and a half period, you're getting more Focus Thunder casts, or I guess more spells affected by Focus Thunder over like a minute and a half than you were before, with the 3 Focus Thunder and a 45 second cooldown.
Right. Because
over a minute and a half, you get 3 casts of Thunder Focus T right now. Before it was only 2, which was, 6 in that you have...
I'll leave the math to you. I don't know.
My brain hurts.
Let's see, they also made a change to Thunder Focus T with the fuse. This is something you probably won't really use it on, but increase the healing from... or decrease the healing from 200% to 100%. So
oh yeah, and I think they fixed the bug where it was like benefiting from however many stacks of TFT you had.
Right. And then life cycles, they nerf from 30% to 20%.
Yeah,
and
not terribly.
Monity, they increased the cooldown, so bumped it up to a minute and a half.
Yep. It sucked.
And then they swapped some talents around, which made a lot more sense on the Mistweaver side. So if you're interested in that, go ahead.
It didn't feel good. There were so many things you could do with the talents as they were. 'Cause you could basically have a ton of mana. Like I noticed before, when they had talents the way they had it before, and then when they changed it, I had a lot less mana after the talents changed, because you couldn't take some talents like before you could have Mana Tea and Focus Thunder at the same time, which allowed you to have just tons of extra mana to work with. But now that Mana Tea and Focus Thunder are on the same talent tier, it's really hard to get the most out, get as much mana out of that.
All right, so when do we expect Alpha to be back? Because it seems like it's going to be back before Overwatch.
Time's the show end?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm betting 10 minutes after the show.
That's fine. I take that. I hope so. That'd be great.
Yeah. We fully expect it to be soon. They did come out and say on Twitter that they wanted to bring it up soon, but they were planning on deploying a much newer build, because the one that we were playing was several iterations behind. So hopefully this will bring us into actual beta, and we'll have all the classes available, and specifically Brewmaster, because I know it's something that we will be talking about very shortly here.
And they definitely confirmed there's new content coming with the patch too. Yep. Whatever build we get, it's got new content in it. Hopefully a lot. And like you said, classes, please, more stuff.
Yep.
Now with level 97 Demon Hunter talents.
Now, students, it's time to meditate and expand our knowledge in
Transcendence.
So first, let's talk about some lessons learned. It seems like every show I stumble across a little tidbit of information that brings me a little bit closer to a fuller understanding of the monk class and the game in general, at least until Legion drops. So here are the things I learned this week. I learned that the shipyard equipment is account-wide. I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
This realization with the ghost spyglass.
Yeah, that's exactly how I figured it out too.
Because I got it on my Death Knight, and I'm like, oh, I should get this on the blue too, so I can get those rings. I really want those rings. For the rogue, I'm every once in a while doing a quest or two on. And so I was like, I sat there on my Death Knight for like an hour. I killed the thing a couple times, and I got it. I'm like, all right, now to do this with the blue. I sat there for like 2.5 hours, killing that dumb thing, doing clicker heroes while I waited, and then
And
finally
nothing,
got
yeah.
it. And then it's like, you already know this. I'm like, you're kidding me.
So it's like
Like,
I
no.
went and I killed Iron Reaver, and it didn't drop it, and I thought that was supposed to be 100% drop rate. I
Oh.
killed like 3 or 4 of the things that were supposed to drop equipments, and I didn't have it. And I was like, this is suck. I'm like having terrible luck with this shaman. I better delete him and start over. And I go back to my shipyard, and I noticed that I had one of the rare missions that required the spyglass. I'm like, that's weird. That should only show up once you obtain the spyglass. And I'm like, okay. So I go check my guy, and I have all the equipment. So I don't know if it's
I thought
always
you
been
meant-
like that.
Yeah.
I think that was somewhat
No,
recent.
It had to
Oh.
have been, because, like, I definitely did not have all the patterns when I first leveled one of my alts. Like, I had one of my later alts, not, like, one of my first, like, 5 mains, but, like, he was definitely missing patterns, and my main had all the patterns, so...
No, that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it
I
had
think
been
that was
recent.
with the Valor change, like all the stuff they did, like for the shipyard nerfs. I think that was about the same time as that.
I thought you meant, like, the individual, like, pieces that you buy. When you buy them, you could send it off to an alt.
that would be nice
Yeah.
too for all
Yeah.
the
Right,
guys who have a ton
No,
of
well, it doesn't matter because all my Garrison resources go into food stuff, which I then sell. So.
Right.
Food.
Yep. That is nice to do that. I'm trying to get caught up in fishing. I still don't have the level 3 fishing shack. I'm like, I don't care about all these other stats. Like, I just want
That's
my
too much work.
multi-strike. Right?
If that's too much work.
Too much work.
Nope.
All right, well, let's move on to the big discussion this week. So, not much in the way of news. We don't know when Alpha's coming back, anything like that, so not much to discuss. But what we do want to talk about is what big changes are we hoping to see when beta launches in 45 minutes?
Okay, please.
So for me, I've got 2 big things. I want to see Strike of the Sky Lord. Really needs to have a super cool animation and do a ton of damage. It's a 3 chi spender ability, and it comes from the artifact weapon itself. So it needs to have a really awesome animation, and it needs to hit like a truck. It needs to do as much damage as Fist of Fury. I would also like to see a ringed-in Storm, Earth, and Fire that won't attack unengaged targets. So not ones that you've necessarily hit, but they're at least attacking you or attacking someone in your party.
Is that one of the little things that kind of came with losing control of it?
Yeah,
Is
it
they'll
will just,
find
as soon as
something?
you finish off your other dude, it's like, oh, I'm done. They'll
So what
jump
you're
off
saying
it.
is this won't be hunters pulling with barrage; it'll be monks pulling with storm, earth, and fire.
Right. Yep.
Why not both?
Yeah, both at the same time.
Montard.
I'm actually wondering whether or not, like, if you just go berserk and let your Storm, Earth, and Fire just go nuts and kill everything, I wonder if it'll do the same thing that it does with Hunter Pets and our current Storm, Earth, and Fire. That if you yourself don't tag the target, you don't get loot.
Probably. That's
Yeah.
been like their thing with anything like a pet for like
Yeah,
ever.
they don't want it to just. They don't want you to just go AFK and have your pet kill everything. You just loot it.
Yeah.
So, but I've
Darn
noticed
it,
that they
that's how
don't
it's been
really
farmed
go
by
at
whelps.
right. They don't really go and attack stuff until you are actually attacking something. So I wonder if that will change it, but I doubt it. We'll see. Blue, what do you want to see?
I want to see my artifact tree,
That would be
please.
nice.
I feel
What do you
like
expect?
as I'm sitting here being salty about things, I still keep in mind that I am missing a very potentially important piece of the puzzle that is Brewmasters, particularly because those major relic whatevers
Our game changers, yeah.
are generally much bigger deals, or not the stat increases. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to kind of rein myself in until I see those and have an idea. But I still, and it's kind of goes into what I also want to see. I want to see more done with the brews, because I think Iron Skin Brew's not bad. I don't think Purify has enough value, and I think it could help with that, and then get like another way to use your brew. I mean, because I have, like I told you pre-show, I've already kind of figured out how much brew you'll have over the course of the fight, and the amount of uptime you can have is silly, we'll just say. And I'm not sure there's enough there just yet, but it's definitely gonna be one of those things I need to get my hands on it and really mess with it to kind of complement the bit of math I've been doing on it. Oh yeah, and very important, give Dizzying Haze or Riot.
Yeah, that's interesting. They took that away as one of the key.
I think it has to do with our kiting potential.
Yeah, it's
But
been
it
kind of
also
your
is
niche since like ever though. Is
But
kite
it's
all the
also
things.
a
Yeah.
really ranged way of getting aggro. And
So
if
it's
you say
taunt.
taunt, I will find you and end you.
Yeah, you get to taunt one guy. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really, you don't have anything else?
Nope. Once Dizzying Haze is gone, because GX is gone,
Yeah.
that's
Does
all
your
we have.
statue talent do it?
Is it
It would.
pulse?
Oh, so you can statue talent, and then at that point, it's like you're gonna do something that I'm pretty sure every other tank has something for, and you're gonna say, well, you can just talent for this statue, and then you can have a macro that taunts off the statue. Hooray!
It's still not that snap threat like
No,
Avenger
it's-
Shield
yeah.
or
A healer can pull off of Dave if they're like really going ham. I've seen an ad from Gorefiend eat a healer before. Funny, but it happens.
That that hurt when he ate me. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why. I do it.
All right, Monkio, what do you want to see when the alpha comes back up?
honestly, like the biggest thing is seeing other healer specs, just to have a comparison. You know, it's a very, people see it as a very competitive environment. I don't necessarily see it that way, but it'll help me give feedback on Mistweaver if I could see what their
See what they're doing with other people.
yeah, what their direction is for other healer specs. Like, is this healer going off in a completely separate direction, or are they all kind of converging into the same kind of play style? Also, looking at the tools that the other healers are getting and the kind of talents they have, it also should tell you or give you some information about how raiders or people are going to be damaged in raids. If you only have a hammer and you're told that you need to solve a problem, you probably expect a few nails to come with it. But just playing them is going to be fun. I enjoyed Mistweaver so much, and the new Mistweaver, and I just can't wait to see what they do with Paladin. Both the pre-specs are going to be huge changes, so that's going to be exciting. But yeah, so that's mostly what I'm looking forward to. And then for Monk specifically, just some random bug fixes, like if you spec for statue, Jade Serpent statue, and you throw it on the ground, if you talent it out of it into something else, the statue is still there. Chi-Ji would still run around if you spec'd out of it during the duration.
Mm-hmm.
Just little bug fixes to kind of tidy things up.
Windwalker had something similar with the Chi Orbit.
Oh yeah.
You could spec into it, get your 4 orbs, and spec out, and GG.
Yeah, those are minor things, really, not huge deals, but just for
we
testing
know those
purposes,
will get
it's nice
fixed,
to get rid of. Yeah, and then two of the other big things was, one, something to do with Life Cocoon. Like, it's getting a buff with a major trait in our artifact, to where when you apply Life Cocoon to someone, it also drops a Renewing Mist and Enveloping Mist on the target. It's like, that's great and all, and those heals are still going to be effective, but it'd be really nice if we could just get that cooldown to be good on its own, so we don't have to feel like we have to rush to that trait to make the talent or that ability any good.
Is the reason you guys don't think it's good is that you're using it as a preventative or a reactive cooldown?
It's you talking about the new version?
Old version.
The old version is basically use it however your tanks want to use it. If your tanks don't call for it, like mine used to not do until I just badgered him over and over about not calling for it, then I just used it whenever the tank got low, and I thought I might be able to snipe some paladin heals with it. It's basically what it was. Or if I saw a mechanic coming up in the tank say, oh, I don't have any cooldowns for this, I'm like, I got Life Cocoons, so I just throw it on him. Like, I'm keeping better track of, what cooldowns are available, because they didn't even consider Life Cocoon to be a real cooldown, and I don't blame them. But the big part of it we want to see be used is the hot increase on Life Cocoon. Just like Iron Block has, it just increases the healing of all hots on the target by X%, and the problem is that it's an absorb. And so it doesn't last very long if the boss does a big hit, or if they've just taken a lot of damage from something at once. Iron Bark doesn't suffer from that. One suggestion was actually made in Discord kind of as a joke, but it ended up being a fine suggestion, was like, what's one way Life Cocoon could be worse? And it's like, well, what if it only absorbed half the damage of the incoming attacks? And we realized that, no, that's actually a good thing, because the absorb and the healing bonus would last longer. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they do something with the spell to make the healing bonus at least last, for the duration or whatever. Just something to make Life Cocoon worthwhile.
I wonder if they are intending it to be how I use it. since our healers take care of all the tank cooldowns, I use it as a reactive, oh, this person's going to die, I need a couple extra seconds to get them, to make sure they don't, like a triage. I wonder if that's how they're intending it to be used.
Well, especially with the trait, right? With the new major trait that puts these huge hots. I mean, renewing and developing, especially.
It's a lay on hands, essentially, at that point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's going to be used reactively in the new version. But I was kind of hoping that it would just be like a normal healer cooldown that would just reduce damage taken by the tank. But it's an absorb. And, with less absorbs in the game going forward, it might actually have a place. It's one of the few powerful absorbs left in the game. I think Disc, we'll have to see if Disc still maintains Clarity of Will, I think it was called. But if it's the only big, and if this is the biggest absorb you could put on somebody, it might, like I said, have a place. There might be some mechanics that, from a boss that, you can absorb the damage, but you can't reduce it. Like, what was it called? Like Zorhawk's thing. Yeah, exactly. Could you absorb that? I don't remember. I know you couldn't reduce it, but I didn't know if you could absorb it.
You cannot reduce it with damage. Right. That's why you cheat deaths and stuff for it.
Right. But if there's some mechanic that's very specific in how it can be handled, then Lycokin could find a place there. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a tank. It could be anything. I just want to see it be useful as a tank cooldown. And then, finally, it's just being able to test all the artifact traits. We did a whole lot of playing in the dungeons and stuff to get our artifact power up, and we only got a couple of traits in. And they're really boring traits, like, oh, you take 6% less damage, and you're renewing this less for a couple more seconds, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not the major traits. We want to see those major traits and the healing from revival doing 30% more. I want to see the animation on that. The Celestial Breath, I think it's called. I want to see that and see how much healing it does. And
it'd be great if you had that, have the Breath of Serpent back and actually be useful.
Exactly. I want to see that animation too. Everything I want to test. And, I'm 99.9% sure that at some point they will just open up the artifact traits for everyone.
Yeah, everybody just throw them all on there. Before the rating, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, we'll hope, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I just want to test out more of the content. I want to see the other zones and not crash as much. I mean, that's a big ask, but I would like to actually test instead of crash repeatedly. But yay, alpha. So hopefully we get into the beta, which is a lot more stable, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, expect that in about 30 minutes.
I hope so. Oh my goodness. Make me so happy.
All right. Any last-minute suggestions or wishes or desires?
Buff monks.
Yes. Delete
But
disc.
No, I like this. I want to play disc. This is going to be one of my ults, I think.
All right.
The priest in general, because it's nice. Priest is going to be so good, because it's going to have two very viable healing specs. So that's such a... If you don't have a priest ult, you're probably doing something wrong.
You get ranged crane stance.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Please, can we not?
I actually, on friend of the show, Cuddles, I was on his show, The Game Case, and I made a prediction on there that I still believe, unfortunately. My prediction is that the disc experiment will fail miserably.
Oh.
Like, utterly and totally fail. And because of that, crane stance will never see the light of day again.
Pretty much.
I think if that does happen and the experiment does fail, which I'm not as confident that it will, I think you're absolutely right. The crane stance will just never come back, right? Because if they can't get that to work,
I think with the rework that they basically made there not be a reason for it. They've rewrote the fantasy for the spec. There's no reason for them to ever have to bring it back now, though.
Yeah, you're talking about crane, yeah.
Yeah, unless they want to make a fourth spec.
Right. I think that's the eventuality is that you just have a fourth spec like disc is, but it's such a strange thing. Disc we'll talk about now.
Yeah.
Like, it's either going to be my initial reaction is, okay, it's either going to be super strong or super weak. It's either going to be necessary or you don't want it at all. And disc has always had a history of just being super strong and necessary. We've always wanted disc. It's always been really strong. I think that's come down a bit from previous expansions, especially like you look at Siege of Orgrimmar. Yeah, they were, because they could pump out all that damage and all that healing, or I suppose absorbing, and healing, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
But now it's just absorption. So before they could move health bars. Now, not so much. They're very good at absorbing, but they can't recover from a mistake as well as some other healers.
And we're the polar opposite of them. We will heal the crap out of everything, but can absorb once out of the life cocoon.
I think the only reason it's going to fail is if too many people are bad at it, and they think, oh, it's just too hard, this is too difficult, it's too complex, and so we're just going to nerf it or change it. Not nerf it, but like remove all the complexities in it, because I think it has a lot of potential to be really, really interesting and really complex and have this huge gap between not good discs and amazing disc players. I think there's going to be such a huge gap in skill.
Is disc designed to be, I think when I heard it was like a 30%, 70%, right? 30% DPS, 70% healing?
Is it 30-70 that way or 30-70 the other way? I don't know. I mean, that's so weird. Like, if it's 30%, 70, that doesn't seem like good DPS. Like, people keep saying that disc is going to, out DPS other healers and still out heal them too. Neither one of those is going to be the case.
Well, they kept saying 50-50 for Mistweaver, but that never was. Well, it was the case at the very beginning of the expansion, but at now,
I think it's pretty close now.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I can do like. Well, let's say
I can
normally
burst that much at the very beginning, but I can't sustain.
I can sustain about 36 to 40. I think. Yeah, that's not too difficult. And then
but
you
a lot
double
of
that
DPS
for
are doing
healing.
more than that.
Oh, right, but you're right. I just took it as you half your healing to do that much in damage.
Right, I'm talking about like half of a DPS.
Right, the problem is with DPS right now is this huge eye level scaling, which healers, especially Mistweaver, just don't have. They can't take advantage of it, really.
Right.
You don't have the crazy trinkets.
Right.
Yeah.
You do with those tanks, you don't scale with the damage either.
Right.
But imagine you look back at like Blackrock Foundry or even Highmaul, the 50-50 that matched pretty well. If not, if it may have been higher than that, damage must have been much higher than that. But I think for Discipline...
So I'm just worried that Discipline is going to have the same problems with the scaling. They're not going to be able to scale, and thus they're not going to be able to catch up as much with the healing. Like all their trinkets and stuff is going to benefit healing and not the damage, and they're going to have a much harder time pumping out the heals they need to heal with. I think that's the trap that they're going to fall into, and they're going to have a hard time justifying the healing spot when they get so much more healing out of an actual healer role.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, it just depends on the fight, right? Like, if you look at fights where Mistweavers were able to DPS a lot, like Cormrock, or what is that the guy's name? Cormrock. Yeah, Cormrock. Or, let's see, Kilrog was a good example. Iskar was a good example. Fights where DPS is a thing, but you still need the healing.
Right.
Yeah, Gorfion was a good example.
Gorfion was a perfect example, yeah. But if Disc is going to be a niche for that, where they're only going to be viable in those certain types of encounters, what's the point of that spec?
I mean, what isn't the priest? The priest is the perfect class to do that with, though, because they have the two healing specs. That's the kind of downfall.
But then they made this artifact weapon trap.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. That's a completely
This was a bad time to do it.
Yeah,
this was a bad time to try this when you have to keep up two completely separate weapons for your two different specs.
We'll see how that goes. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Like, I think you're going to be able to grind out a lot of your early artifact powers pretty easily through dungeons and questing, and the little relics that you slot in are pretty easy to find, it seems. I think, obviously, one's going to be better than the other, but that's how it's always going to be,
Right.
It's but just from looking at it, how is disc gonna fit in the healing comp? Why would you take a disc if you're trying to put out more damage, just take a damage dealer. If you're trying to put out more healing, just take a healer. Why would you bring a disc? And we just have to see where yeah, exactly. They still have the absorbs, and we'll have to see where their damage and healing lies. But like Libu just
I think
that's exactly right.
Mistweaver kind of proved that theory wrong, though, with the why would you bring a Mistweaver with the crane stance, bring a DPS instead. It's like, I think they proved them wrong in this expansion, that you have the flexibility.
It's slightly different, though, because Mistweavers could still heal.
Right.
Right? Like, if you brought a Mistweaver for damage, you could still heal just as fine, if not better, because you have all that mana from DPSing. Whereas Discipline is stuck in that role. It's much more... rigid. You can't change out.
That was the problem I would have with it, is if you start falling behind in healing, you're sitting there with your disc going, I can't do anything.
Unless they design fights like they have been since forever, where a lot of the raid damage in a raid is tied to these ads that, you know, die in 5 seconds once you're fully geared. But if the ads take 20, 30 seconds to die while you're, you know, progressing on it, then it would help to have a healer that can do damage and heal at the same time. That's the important thing we have to remember, is that it's just like monks. You know, you're doing damage and healing at the same time. But if it's 30-70, over the course of a fight, a priest will do more damage than, you know, any other healer trying to burst.
Right.
So it's not going to help really with those situations where you're trying to do burst damage. Other healers are probably going to be better than Disc at burst damage, and so anytime you just need that extra push of damage, why would you bring a Disc? Why not just bring another healer?
Unless they build in like a Disc and throw away what little healing they do for more damage.
That's possible. That would be really cool, like a cleric stance from the other game,
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy, yeah. That was such a great mechanic. Like, I wish they would do something like that for.
That would
WoW.
be kind of the switch from Mistweaver,
Such a
where
good
it
idea.
gives them, it puts them more as a DPS instead of a healer.
Yeah.
That was the thing with Mistweaver, is you can say like, oh crap, things are going bad, crane stance, go to town. But do it the other way.
All healers had that, because it's just such a. It's so interesting as a healer to be able to contribute to your raid when damage is low, and they've already confirmed at BlizzCon that, you know, healers are expected to do more damage in raids come Legion. Like, you're going to do more damage, and you're going to have time to do damage, and I don't really like that.
LOL melee.
I'm waiting for the pushback from your classical
healing core,
healers who just are like, all I want to do is heal. That's why I signed up.
Yeah, well, I hope they do that, because that's what I want. I want to heal, and that's what Mistweavers didn't like when they took away Crane Stance, was that, you know, they said, oh, I don't want to heal, I want to do damage. You know, it's like, well, there's still that fantasy is still there. It's just not on your monk, you know.
Right. All right,
like
well,
heal.
it's now time to travel to the Peak of Serenity, home for all monks in.
Zen pilgrimage.
Monks, assemble!
All right, friend of the show, Cuddles, lost a bet. He said that his team Bacon and Kegs was going to beat Rolling Thunder to Archimonde's Heroic and the Moose. That didn't happen. And so I was generous. He provided two Bright Paws for us. I gave away one on his show. And so now I have got one to give away on our show. So in the dojo, while we discuss other stuff, go ahead and type in Bright Paw in the dojo if you would like a Bright Paw. I will choose one at random. All right, and we did have some questions from the community. So Camus asked, what are your thoughts about the potential removal of spirit and bonus armor?
Yeah. LeBlue can take the bonus armor one.
Go ahead, LeBlue.
Okay, I'm not a huge fan, because I think bonus armor is a little different from spirit in that it's not something that you just start flat out not needing, like kind of with healers or something. It's very much a tank stat. The biggest problem I have with it is you're effectively no longer saying, this is your tank loot, this is your DPS loot. Now it's everyone's loot, and most progression-oriented guilds like to funnel their loot to their DPS.
Yep.
Especially if that loot no longer actually contributes very much to survival. Like bonus armor has a very much, you now take less damage, and it's a very good chunk of that. And now it's like, now you have mastery and crit on this ring. Well, my rogue gets a lot of damage out of mastery and crit, and you get like nothing. So we're going to give it to the rogue now, so we kill this boss faster. I mean, that's all. Honestly, all it did was just move tanks to where they're going to get gear even later. That's what's going to end up probably happening from that. Monkio, Spirit?
This is the same for us. Gearing wise, yeah, that's going to be the story. It's kind of interesting that throughout most of the progression for, at least for Hellfire Citadel and most of BRF, DPS really wasn't a thing. Like, there weren't any hard DPS checks until like Archimonde, which was a significant one for sure. But like, you didn't see these guilds struggling with just pushing damage, and there weren't many patchwork fights where you just had to burn the boss within X seconds. There was no butcher in Hellfire Citadel specifically, so I'm not sure if, I think guilds will still go with the DPS first, then tanks and healers, or whatever they value more, tanks or healers. But DPS first mentality, I think it probably will still be the way to go. It just, maybe it won't be as big of a focus. But for spirit specifically, there's more implications in that if you don't gain spirit on your gear, if you don't get more spirit as the tier goes on, then your regen never changes. So we're looking at a static regen level across all tiers in the expansion. And I like this a lot. Like, I really, really like this because it means that you won't have this playstyle from beginning to end where at the beginning, you have all these spells that you can use. You have, like, imagine for Mistweavers, you have Rushing Jade Wind, Surging Mist, Soothing Mist, Uplift, Enveloping, but you can only use, like, Soothing and Renewing Mist and Uplift, and that's all you can do because your mana just can't handle anything else. Monks are probably the worst example of this because you could do the Mana Tea Bowl, but for other specs like Druids or Shamans, you just couldn't use all your buttons when you wanted to, and it felt bad. Like, you knew what you wanted to do, you just couldn't do it because of mana. And then the middle tier came, and you got a trinket or something in more spirit, and you're like, okay, I can start using, my chain heals more, I can start using my wild growths more, I can rejuve more, or whatever. And then the final tier comes, and you have unlimited mana because of some trinket or set bonus or whatever, and you just spam everything all the time, and you lose all decision making. You just spam.
I still can't believe that they made the change to spirit that they did near the end of the last tier, Blackheart Foundry, to Mana Tea.
Yeah, that was nuts. I couldn't believe that either. Like, it completely screwed over monks that were just gearing up, and it completely buffed any monk that had a lot of spirit. Like, it was a crazy
made it so
change.
just Rushing Jade Wind, all the things, don't care at all ever. It was insane. So the Bright Paw went to Kamos in the dojo. Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations.
We're also giving away a Hearthstone. Where did it go? I put it somewhere. Oh, well. I'll find it. A Hearthstone card pack that's donated by Lady Chai. So thank you to her.
Nice.
And so go ahead and say Hearthstone in the dojo, and we will get that out to you. We do have another question from the dojo as well. Elwin Dace asked, I would like your opinion on Mistweaver trinkets for current game. Intuition's Gift, Leech, Unstable Fell Shadow, Demonic Phylactery, or Class Trinket.
Well, Leech and Unstable Fell Shadow are the same trinket, so typically, if you're going for just keep your raid alive, you want to go for Intuition's Gift and the Leech Trinket, the Unstable Fell Shadow Emulsion, I think it's called. Yeah, the Leech just does so much healing, especially with damage dealers doing hundreds of thousands of DPS. It does insane amounts of healing. It scales up with your DPS scaling, which is again insane. And then Intuition's Gift just has great stats on it. Intellect, Spirit, and then on proc crit, or on use crit, you can line that up with Revival. You can line that up with most mechanics on a fight.
The ring.
Like, you can line it up with, the ring, the Gorfine mechanics on a fight, or, those types of mechanics where you take a lot of damage and you need to do a lot of healing. I think my version, the Mythic version upgraded, gives me, about 30% crit. So it's huge. It's significant. Yeah, and it gives you more Mana Tea as well as you spend Chi.
I know that the Class Trinket isn't mathematically superior, but it is a lot of fun to play around with in certain encounters. Are you still playing with that at all, or have you just kind of relegated it?
I don't. I mean, I played with it when I first got it, for sure. I wanted to see if I could make use of it. It's got some fun little things you can do with it, but for the most part, it's just not worth doing. You have so many better things you can do with your time than just sit there channeling Soothing Mist.
Yeah.
And the fights that it would be good on, which are like, I suppose, Gorfine's Feast of Souls.
Council,
yeah. And then, what was that one? Tyrant.
Yeah.
I thought it would be best on Tyrant. I'll have to give it another shot, because the one time I did try it, I forgot to put my statue down for half the fight or more. So I'll try that again, but it's just not as good. Like, if you have good gear, it's not as good as just Rushing Jade Wind, which you won't have the mana for because you're not generating Mana Tea if you're just spamming Soothing all day. You basically can't do anything else with that trinket. You in order to make the most use out of it, you have to spam Soothing Mist pretty much all the time, and it's difficult to efficiently generate Mana Tea stacks like that. So it's just not that good. It's not flexible enough. And then the Sakathar trinket can be good. I mean, that's perfectly fine alternative to like a Leech Trinket or the Intuition's Gift if you just want to like do damage, or the healing requirements on a fight aren't that high. Then I can't remember what it's called, Demonic Phylactery. That's it. The Sakathar Trinket.
I think that would actually
be a
like,
good option.
If you're just getting started,
Mhm.
if you can manage to get the class trinket and the phylactery, it's like you don't have any issues with
that's
your
fine,
spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you have low spirit, the class trinket is a fine option. Just make sure you're trying to channel it on people who are stacked.
Right.
Don't channel soothing on the mage that's way out 40 yards away from everybody else. That's not going to do any healing. And always have your statue down. That's very important.
Yes. The other thing I use the Sacred Dranic incense for the class trinket is time walking. I throw on tier 17 2-piece, and then the 2-piece for tier 18 and the class trinket, and I hit one button and go AFK.
What's the percent on that when it's downgraded?
I don't know.
Because I noticed the Windwalker one is 1%.
Yeah, the Windwalker one is pretty terrible.
Fully upgraded Mythic Warforged.
Yeah. I still think it was okay because I was still splashing and doing a ton of healing. So
interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So that's something to play around with. So Hina Lover in the dojo won the Hearthstone thing, and it's hard to read in this light, so I will get that to you in a little bit.
Oh my goodness, not that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Cheated.
All right, and let's see. There is now an all-healer Discord, so Mistweavers are, of course, welcome, but all other healers will be in there, so go tell them how much Disc sucks and Mistweaver rules. And
comment on that?
Go for it.
That's the Healink one, yeah?
Yeah.
Healink is a group that's going to have like a bunch of healer guides for Legion. Like I said, it's starting. It's slated to start at Legion or right before Legion launches, and it's just going to be a place for all healers to kind of come in and read these guides from people who are at least somewhat known throughout the community and have experience raiding, and basically what Summon Stone was going to be before it got killed.
Yeah.
But just for healers, so it's much more focused. We're gonna have feedback that you can give, or questions you can ask, or you can request help from people. It should be very similar to the old Summon Stone website, which people seem to like a lot. So check that out when you get a chance. Let us know if you have any comments about that.
And we also have recruitment. So if you need a monk on your team, or you're a monk looking for a team, let us know. We happen to know a few monks. We can put you in contact. You can reach out to us at show@monkmeditation.com in order to get your name on the list, and we'll shout you out during the show. So unfortunately, this happened a long time ago, back in mid-December, so can't say it's completely up to date, but we'll see. Let's see. So one person, Tessa emailed us and told us that she was the only monk in her guild and very lonely over there, so would like a little monk brother or sister. So Unlimited LTD is recruiting their semi-hardcore raiding guild. Horde Side on Blade Fist, Frost Whisper and Zenadar all joined together. EU. They are 13 of 13 Mythic, but don't let that put you off. Their recruitment is based on the individual person and, of course, logs. So even if you're behind in progress, they'd love to hear from you. So they're currently open to all classes and specs, so Brewmasters, Windwalkers, and Mistweavers are welcome to apply. You can find them via the engine domain, so ultd.engine, that's ENJIN.com. So reach out to them if you want to get into some Mythic raiding over on the EU side. All right, well, I think it's time to put the brews away, gentlemen. Please rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, subscribe on YouTube, or on Twitch.tv. And if you would like to help support the show and help it grow and get even better, you can become our boss by going to patreon.com/monkmeditation. You can help guide the future of the show and get some fun rewards along the way. All right, Monkyo, you have any shout-outs, sir?
To me, for me, no, not really. I suppose to my buddy who's been trotting through Diablo 3 with me, trying to figure out what classes we're going to play next season, because we've just been playing for no reason, but it's fun to play, so thanks, bud.
All right. And let's see, shout out to Cuddles for having me on the show. That was fun. You can go listen to that on the Game Case podcast. And shout out to our old brewmaster Adam for completely missing out on our podcast about Heroes last Thursday because he made other plans because he forgot it was coming back from hiatus. Good job. All right. And LeBlue.
I have two shout-outs. One to Anti-Meridium. Thank you for having me along. It's been enjoyable as I sit here and been having a hard time getting back into raiding. And then shout out to Winsama. It's probably been a month ago when to Chai, I need to put this down so I remember it. You were in a Archimond LFR with me and you said hello. So hello back and thanks for saying hi.
All right. As part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, person, or website you want to see on the show, reach out to us at show@monkmeditation.com. The Monk community is the best one in the world of Warcraft. We want to showcase it. Hey, LeBlue, how can the dojo best reach us?
You can follow the show at monk_meditation. Follow Chai T at WowMonk. Follow Air at AirWalker. Follow Monkio at Monkio. And you can follow myself, the Saltmaster, at Kagarai_LeBlue.
All right, thank you all for listening. You can watch us live Monday, January 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, midnight UTC at twitch.tv/WowMonk. You can also visit monkmeditation.com for links to all the ways to watch and listen to the show. That'll wrap up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your bruise be strong and your heart stronger.
Night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I rolled a 20.
About to ask where's Demon Baby.
Right.
But there it is. I was
There it
kind of
is.
worried.